Hello, my name is Brenda Hopkins, and this video is on converting SAS to SPSS and converting SPSS into SAS. Now to start with, I'm going to go from SAS to SPSS. And what I'm really doing is taking a SAS data file, converting it to an Excel file, and then converting the Excel file into an SPSS file. The data set I'm going to use, I'm just going to input here, and this is a data set Fitclass. I hit F8 and it creates that data set here. Now that I have that data set created, what I'm going to do is use a product export to convert that file into an Excel file. What I'm going to do is call the name of that data set, which is work.Fitclass. The out file is going to be the location of where I'm going to save that file. So if I go to this folder and click up in the search window and copy this and put it down in this out file statement, that's going to give me a spot where I'm going to put that Fitclass Excel file. I'm going to name the Excel file Fitclass.xls. The DBMS tells SAS what database management system we're going to be using, and the label tells it that we're going to be using the names or the variable names and putting that into the file. And replace means it's going to replace any old file that may have been created that was Fitclass.xls. The sheet is an Excel term, and it's one of the sheets, like you have sheet 1, and then if you create a new sheet, sheet 2. I'm going to call this sheet Fitclass. And for new file, we put yes. Now when we run this code, we check our log window to make sure everything ran, and it says the file was created. I don't see any error messages. So when I go back to this folder, now I should have Fitclass.xls, and this is an Excel file. So if I open it up, you see a file here. It might be hard to see, but this is identical. The data is identical to what was in SAS. Now that I got the file into Excel, I'm going to go from Excel to SPSS. If I open up SPSS and go to File and look for Open Database and run a new query, it's going to bring up a wizard where I can import Excel file. So here I just need to click Next, and I'm going to browse and find that same file that I created, the Fitclass.xls, and there I just click this button to move all the variables over into this slot. Here are more options you can do if you're adding an extra variable, which right at this point I'm not doing, so I'm just going to click Finish. And now I have a file created in SPSS. The only thing left for me to do would be to go to File and Save As, and I can save that data as an SPSS file. So that's it, converting SAS to SPSS. Now, let me open up a file in SPSS and do the opposite. Convert a file from SPSS to Excel and then to SAS. Okay, if we take a look at this SPSS data set, I have ID, treatment 1, treatment 2, treatment 3, and treatment 4. Don't worry about what these mean. This is just basically something I made up to use to show that we can convert. We're going to go and try to convert this into an Excel file. So I go to File, Export, click Excel file, and then Next. And here, if I back up, I need a file already created, an Excel file already created, where to put that down. So that Excel file, I just created a new Excel file that was blank, and when I went to save as, I saved it as experiment.xls, You have to make sure it's .xls. That's an earlier version of Excel. I click browse, I click that Excel file, and I click OK. I'm going to create a new table, and that table translated to Excel is the sheet name. It doesn't really matter for me what the sheet name is because I'm going to convert it from Excel to SAS immediately. Now I'm taking all my variables and I'm putting them into that table that I'm creating that's going to be exported into Excel. Now when you run this, the syntax will come up in the background. And you may want to look at it to see if you have an error message or a warning. We do have a warning, but we don't have an error message. So let's go to the SPSS folder and open up experiment. And if we look, we've created, let me make this full screen, we've created a sheet Q. Q has the same data from SPSS in it. So now I can go from Excel to SAS. Now here's where it gets a little cumbersome because there's two ways to do this. So let me go through each way individually. So the two ways of doing this is A, to use a SAS access LIBNAME, which sometimes you hear me say LIBNAME, but LIBNAME stands for library, or use the PROC import. Now using the SAS access LIBNAME, we use this line of code. Now notice there's no semicolon in between these. I'm going to create a library that is that Excel spreadsheet. The GETNAMES option will get the name from the top of the Excel spreadsheet. If you go back and look in the video, notice the names were already at the top of the first row in Excel. And mix, that stands for if the variables are a mix between numeric and character variables, which they aren't, so we get a no. SCANTEXT, SCANTIME, stuff that happens in the log window. And use date. We're not really concerned about the date, but I'm going to leave it at yes. So when I run this portion of code, I go back and I check my log window. Here you see the library brief excelin was successfully assigned. So if we look in our folders and we go to excelin, we have some data here. And there's a lot of different things you can do with this data. But one important thing to note is we have not converted this Excel file into a SAS file. It is still an Excel file. There's certain things with the naming that comes up. So there's a name literal you have to use when you're working with Excel files that haven't been converted all the way into a SAS file. So if I run a procedure or a data step, I'm going to refer to the data a certain way. So if I do PROC PRINT and I say the data equals, and I want it to equal that data I just pulled up from Excel, I'm going to call it parentheses Q $, close parentheses N. And with the name literals, you're always going to have that $, the sheet in parentheses. The sheet I created was Q, and then N, just the letter N. And in general, you're always going to have the letter N when you're dealing with the Excel file. And then run, and this should operate. Looks like an Excel file. Now I got an error message which happens from time to time. What I should refer to the data as is the two-part naming system, Excel N dot, and then the rest of it, because it is a permanent data set. So if I run this, and then it runs a regular print procedure, and you see you have that same data set that was once in SPSS now used in the SAS system. Of course, this is still an Excel file, so whatever I do to it is actually going to save and be in the Excel file later on, which might be a good thing. Now, I could take that Excel file and import it into SAS, and that way I'm not even working with Excel or SPSS or anything but SAS. And that's the next step I'm going to do down here. So, thinking about that two-part naming system, I'm going to call this work.temp. Now, of course, if you're using a work library, you don't actually have to put work dot, but you can, as to not confuse yourself. The location I already have here, and DBMS is going to be Excel, and I'll use the option replace. For range, I'm going to use the sheet name, which is Q $, and then close parentheses. GETNAMES is yes because the names are in the Excel file. If you go back and look, mixed, no. Now notice there are semicolons in between these lines. SCANTEXT, yes. And these options may not matter. USEDATE, yes. SCANTIME, yes. SCANTIME will tell you the time in the background in the log window. And now I'm going to import. So I hit F8 and I go to my log window. I have an error. The error looks to be a semicolon error right here, which happens from time to time. You see that looks prettier. So let me try a second time to run this. Look at my notes. It says work.temp was created successfully. So notice I'm in my excelin folder here, which is the files I was talking about earlier. If I go back out and into my work folder, you'll see the newest file I created, which is completely SAS file. And this file, I don't have to worry about changing things in Excel. Is just in SAS. It's been brought completely from SPSS to Excel and then into SAS. So I can manipulate this just like I would any SAS file. So just to recap, we went from how you convert SAS files into SPSS files, and then how you convert SPSS files into SAS files. And remembering that there was two ways of working with Excel files in SAS. One would be the SAS access LIBNAME, and the other would be the PROC import. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the playlist where there's other videos that might be of help to you. Let me know if you have any questions.